course, in the studio tonight, Erica Lucas is here. Erica, thank you so much for being here. And, of course, we're live on the Inception Radio Network. I want to say hello to all of our listeners, wherever you may be listening throughout the world, through the magic of the World Wide Web. And, of course, all of our listeners here in Salt Lake City, up and down the Wasatch Front, listening to us on AM 630. You can find Fringe Radio at fringeradioshow.com. We're on Facebook and Twitter as well. I've been posting a lot of Lost in Space stuff out on there. Been a lot of funny stuff about Lost in Space coming up.
I love your Facebook.
Do you?
Oh, it's
we put a lot of
awesome.
Weird stuff on there. Angela Cartwright has been on the program before. We played Penny Robinson on Lost in Space.
Oh my God.
So we need to reach out to her again and get her back on.
And I loved the picture of her you had on there.
Oh, did you?
Oh, I did.
No, so you're a big
Leonard Nimoy.
Yep, you're a big William Shatner fan.
Yeah, I have a problem with William Shatner. I do. He's always been my idol, and we have the same birthday.
Wow.
So what does that mean? It's a sign. I don't know what it is, but it's great. And so I was telling you, the break that he was at Comic-Con, and that was a really.
I wonder if he's going to be back. I mean, it's weird because Comic-Con, they seem to. They seem to ramp up, but then all the big guests. It's like the last second, okay, he's going to be here. Like the Fan X event, they had the whole Next Generation. Patrick Stewart ended up showing up, and I don't know if they just kind of keep that as the rabbit in the hat for the last second.
I don't know, but it's rude. It's really taxing on me because I'm like on Shatner watch. And so what's going to happen is, are they going to announce that Shatner's going to be here? Because I certainly need to pick out an outfit. I don't know. And get ready for my 30 seconds of
fame. Standing
next to him. It's ridiculous, but it's fun.
Get your $100 bill ready to hand over to him and get your picture in that.
That was a good $100.
Well, hey, it was.
Yeah,
it
was
fun.
Great.
It's fun. It's definitely fun. Erica Lukes is here. We're talking about MUFON, and of course, she is the new state director. Now, you brought a bunch of books and papers and stuff with you.
Yes, I did.
And I don't believe in doing scripted programs, so we want to talk a little bit, let you talk about some things that you'd like to cover. But we did get a bunch of questions sent in from our listeners, and like to go ahead and run them by you and get your take on it.
Sure.
Our friend Bill in upstate New York writes and says, Erica, do you think that most of these craft we see in our skies are military top secret like the TR-3Bs? And what are your thoughts on possible back engineering technology from crashed UFO recoveries?
Bill, that's a fantastic question, and thanks for listening so far across the country. That's great. I do believe that we are reverse engineering, and I think that a lot of things that we see can be attributed to things that the military is testing. That's such an interesting thing because we have to really. How do we know what they're testing? A lot of that's top secret, so we sure don't. But we can make the assumption that they're not going to be probably testing secret military aircraft around a lot of people. So I think that would leave you to believe that a lot of things that people are seeing would not be perhaps military. But I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Another question comes in from our friend American Road Warrior out of the East Coast. ARW writes and says, Erica, were there a lot of sightings reported August 11th through the 13th during the meteor showers of the debris of Comet Tuttle? That's the Perseids, right?
Yep. And I wish that I would have been out to see that, but we had some clouds here
we did.
Over that time period. We actually, amazingly enough, in Utah did not have any sightings reports during the meteor showers. And, to be honest, when there are meteor showers, of course, we get, I think, as MUFON as a whole, we get sightings reports. We get lots of sighting reports when Venus, and all sorts of different things, the space station.
Venus, that's, and it's interesting that you bring up Venus. I've always heard for so many years that Venus is the number one. I believe it's one of the number one UFO sightings out there. And back in April, I had to for my day job, I had to go down to Provo. I had to be there at a client's site at like 6:30 in the morning. So got on the road and left around 5:30 when the sun was just starting to rise, and there was Venus, but Venus actually looks like it twinkles and hovers, and it could be moving until I stopped the car on I-15, and I'm like, what the hell is that? I stopped the car, and I got out on the shoulder, and I'm like, okay, that's no UFO, that's no airplane, that's Venus.
Right.
And you only see it in the early morning, I believe. And it was, at least from my perspective, it was in the southeast sky over. Actually, it was over South Mountain, and I thought it was a helicopter hovering or some large craft hovering, but it wasn't.
And it's magnificent. And
it is.
I've looked at it and had the same experience. It's like, wow, that is amazing.
It twinkles and sparkles and does everything.
Twinkle, it's magnificent, but there are definitely, we know that's
it's not a
not
UFO.
A UFO,
not
darn
a
it.
UFO. Another question from our friend Sky in the Cleveland area writes, it says, what are Erica's thoughts on the 6-inch Chilean Bean / creature? I think that's the Stephen Greer.
Oh, boy. That was an interesting thing. And Sirius, the movie, I saw that. I think at the end of the day, from what I recall, there did not seem to be a lot of conclusive evidence really saying that this, in fact, was an extraterrestrial being. So
I haven't watched the movie yet, and I need to.
Yeah, it's good.
I've got a DVD somebody sent me. Another question for you is, have you ever interviewed an abductee with an alien implant?
No, but I'm really looking forward to that. I believe I've certainly talked to, in fact, Ron, who has been involved over the years, off and on with MUFON, believes that he has an implant. In fact, he was going to meet with Dr. Lear.
We had him scheduled to come on, and yeah.
Yeah, and so, but then he had a kind of a feeling and a visitation with an alien presence that said, you're not to take this out. So he didn't. So yeah, and apparently that seems to be pretty much the way it goes common for lots of people.
Yeah, we had an interview. Actually, we were going to have him and Dr. Lear on. Tim Cullen is a person. Matter of fact, Marley knows of the story. We had him on the program. Tim is a very simple person. He's a farmer, I believe. He lives out on a farm. I want to say in Kansas. He has something that him and Dr. Lear conversed with for years. He has something that is in his ankle. And he said it doesn't give him any special powers or anything like that, but ever since he got this implant or whatever it is, now he talks about him and his wife in their pickup truck and going to town and how they always kind of lose time at this certain corner out in the middle of nowhere, at this certain crossroads, if you will. But he'll never talk about being abducted. He never ever goes into the abduction scenario. He does talk about that a little bit, and he said that ever since this happened to him, his arthritis went away.
Oh wow!
He doesn't get cold. He doesn't get sick. No real special things, but something has happened to him.
Isn't that interesting? And you do, and you hear other reports of people that are abductees, and they have autoimmune diseases. They have lots of really odd physical ailments that plague them their whole life. So it kind of runs the gamut there as well, too.
Want to take a call?
Absolutely.
Take a chance? Why not? All right. Caller, welcome to K-Talk. You're on with Erica.
Hey, Pat. It's Bill in New York. Hello, Erica. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for calling.
Erica, I just want to mention a couple of things, and I'm going to ask you a question about it.
Okay.
Currently, me and someone else are doing skywatching here in the East Coast, and we're catching, the usual things, satellites, meteors, the planes, but sometimes we're catching some odd, I would say, undescribable objects. Like the other night, I caught like an orb that came down to my camera and looked at it and then flew away, and some other strange things that are going up in the sky. Do you think that more people should be observing the skies and filming it, with decent equipment? Because the use of a cell phone is inadequate. You got to get actual, decent cameras to do the work. So what are your thoughts on that? So
my thoughts are absolutely. I think that we don't, and I'm excited that you guys are doing that. I think we don't pay enough attention to what's happening in our environment, and our environment is not just looking straight forward. Our environment is looking up at the sky. And I myself, I like to do sky watches. I've got some great binoculars and people that have telescopes. I'm hoping to get some night vision goggles and, really see some interesting things. But there are things that you can see, and you sound like you're very adept at identifying what's what, but there are things you cannot explain. So
yeah, because some of the objects, like the satellites, look like small stars, and they move you can tell the pace, the speed.
Right.
And then you see others that move not quite as fast as like a shooting star, but they are moving, and they leave their trails behind them.
It's interesting.
And then, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Bill. Go ahead.
And then I caught like one that looked like it was moving but rotating. It was like spinning, and it had like pointed like spears on both ends. I have pictures of it, and I have the video of it. But another thing, where does MUFON take like video recordings? Like, how would you report that?
So what you would do is you would go to the MUFON, MUFON.com, and then they've got a place there where you file a report, and then you can, any of your footage, you submit that along with your report, and we've got some very adept people that analyze the footage and can say, okay, this is the space station, this is what's going on, this is a lens flare, and so they'll put it through the ringer, excuse me, and then give you that feedback. So it helps you as an observer really know what you're looking at.
Well, Bill,
Go ahead, Pat.
No, but I mean, we're actually going to get Bill has been a long time faithful listener.
Oh, awesome!
And a friend, and him and one of our other dedicated listeners, they've bought some high def closed capture CCD cameras. Which he's been forwarding me all the information. Now, we're going to have them both on the show, and they're setting stuff up, and they're just capturing. Bill, how many hours do you get? I mean, several hours, and then you kind of go through it?
Well, what we do is we bought a DVR that for security cameras, and we can connect up to 4 cameras to it. So right now, I'm using 2, but you can record. You set the recording to a certain time. Like, I started at 9 tonight. It'll end at 5:30 in the morning. Then tomorrow, I'll go over the footage, speed it up a little, because otherwise it would take hours, literally.
Right.
And then we edit, we trim it in Movie Maker, and we post it up on YouTube, and then we make it available for the public.
So what is your YouTube? Where can we go to find out? Where can I go see this fabulous footage?
Okay, you know what? You're going to have to just give me a second, because I got to pull up my YouTube account, but because I don't know exactly what it is.
Oh, you're on my team. That's good. I'm right there with you.
But you know what? Like I said, it's great. It's not just, people think, oh, okay, you're looking at Skywatch, but it's not just about UFOs. Okay, for a person like me, yes, that's pretty much my priority, because I had 2 sightings back in the 90s, so that was my incentive to get involved with doing this kind of thing. But it's also educational. You can get a family involved with it by watching, you can Skywatch. I have a 60-inch screen TV, which I have it connected to, and I could see it nicely on the screen.
Wow.
You know what I mean? You have to do all the connections properly, but I'll save that for another time. But it's really awesome, because I could be sitting right now in my living room, access the camera through my Internet Explorer, and I could see the footage outside. And I could still do all the activities like speaking to you and being in the chat room for Inception Radio Network and doing all that, and it's very enjoyable.
So do you belong to MUFON now?
Yes, I do occasionally.
Okay.
Because there's a few people, one of the persons that at Inception is the state director of MUFON in Wisconsin.
Great. That's
so
great.
We have that access to that.
That's wonderful. And, it sounds like you would be a perfect person to be a field investigator or to be involved with MUFON, and at the very least, I need to get your contact information so I can keep in touch with you and start, talking with you, because this is really important, and I am really excited that you're doing this.
Well, and
I'm going to give you my YouTube thing right now.
Okay, great.
It's youtube.com/user/maiden4CE/videos.
Great.
Cool. I'll post
it
up on our
Maiden 4,
Facebook
but
too.
with a 4.
And yeah, Bill, we got to get you on and kind of talk about all the setup of what you do, and it's reasonable to do. It's not a lot of money, and if people have interest in to set up some stuff out there, it would I know that you guys have been pounding through it and finding all the kinks and working them all out and stuff, and we need to.
And you know what, Pat? If more people observe the skies, you will be surprised how much is going on up there, because there's not a lot of people are focused on looking up. Like Erica said, there has to be more toward that. We have to focus more on that, because there's a lot of things going on around us that people, I don't know if they're ignorant or they're just not open-minded, but there's a lot of things going on around us that we need to pay more attention to.
And I agree. And I think for some people, it takes too much time. They get home from school or work and they want to lay on the couch and, hopefully are watching Hangar One, but that's another story. But, I think that educating people, and you hit it on the head, make this a family activity. Skywatching is not only fun to look for UFOs, but to just learn about this vast universe. It's breathtaking. And so find a local Skywatch organization. We have in Utah, the Stansbury Observatory, where you can go and they do wonderful things there.
We've had Bob Taylor from the Salt Lake Astronomical Society.
Oh, great.
And they do the star parties for free at over at the Harmons on the east side and the west side. I believe once or twice a month, people here locally in town can show up. There's no charge. The members have their telescopes all set up, of course, on nights when you can see something or there isn't cloudy, and it's free and it doesn't cost a thing.
What a great activity to take your family to. And I have to say, on that note too, I also, when I have sightings that case reports that baffle me, the Hansen Planetarium has been the Clark Planetarium. Now it's the Clark. Oh my gosh,
right.
Hansen Planetarium. Wow, that dates me, doesn't it? That's really scary. But they have been so helpful to work with, and I can send them photos and say, hey, what is this?
What's
and they
this,
will.
right.
Yeah. So it's great. Let's Let's raise awareness, Bill. You're doing it. Let's do it together.
Thank you so much, Erica. And you know what? Congratulations on becoming the state director.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
And it was a pleasure speaking to you. And Pat, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, my friend. Take care. Keep on rocking.
Have a good night, guys.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
One guest that I would like to get back on the program. We had him on. Several months ago at night. Is Wilbur Allen. Wilbur Allen is a ufologist. His website is called UFODC.com. Wilbur is he's a professional photographer for National Geographic now.
He is amazing.
He is. His website is amazing, and he goes out and shoots literally hundreds of thousands of frames of photos and dissects it and puts it on his website. I was actually interviewed on a show here a couple weeks ago, and it was interesting being on the other side. I had a couple sightings here in Salt Lake, and that was kind of the gist of the conversation. But one thing that I did throw out, and I know some people I shouldn't say took offense, but kind of questioned me on, is that I believe that there are no new ufologists coming out. I think there are groups that are starting to. I think what Bill is doing and his gang, but we've kind of got the old. And some may disagree and not, but we've kind of got the old guard that they're getting old. Stanton is up there.
Right.
Grant Cameron isn't getting any young. None of us are getting any younger. And there's not a lot of young people doing this that I know of.
Right. I mean, you do. Then you have got the guys from Open Minds.
Right. You do have that group, but I mean, it would you've got a lot of the guys that have, and of course the answer back to me was, well, there hasn't been any incidents or whatever, but. It seems the study of ufology it's kind of been laying dormant, not dormant, but just with the old guard, and I encourage new people, kind of like what Bill's doing. Not a big investment. Don't invest that kind of money. Go out and take your. You can buy a halfway decent camera for $100 and point it up and let it roll for an hour or two, and then. Dissect it. There's free Sony. All these companies put free software. Nikon has great software that's free that you can download. Download your MPEG to it, your MPEG to it, your MP3 to it, and go ahead and dissect it frame by frame.
Right, and that is an interesting thing. I'm lucky enough to work with MUFON, with the main office, and so that's a question. How do you get the younger people? Because, it has been people that are, maybe late 40s up to the 70s that are really researching this. How do you pique their interest? And, there are lots of ways. That's great technology. That's the hook. I mean, right now, there are so many cool apps for your iPhone that you can get that help you become a better investigator. So go get some of those apps and go out tonight and do it. But we need that younger generation. So come on, people, let's do it.
Step up and do something. It's again, it's just like I said, it would be nice to see the younger crowd kind of with the technology that we have today step up a little bit and do something with it.
Well, that's our mission then. We'll do it.
You brought a bunch of books and different things, and what would you like to talk about?
Oh, I would like to talk about how we know that we have lots of sightings in Utah. We know that people are not making sightings reports. And so what can we do to get people aware that this phenomena is happening? This phenomena in Utah especially, we have a lot of sightings reports, the ones that we get that are specifically concentrated over the Salt Lake Valley. We have some in Tooele. We have some up by the airport. And then in the Uinta Basin, there's always been lots of phenomena there. So I want to tell people that there are certain things, if you're lucky enough to have a sighting, that you can do to make sure you get enough information to make a really great case report. And so the first thing that you need to be aware of, I mean, obviously, hopefully, the time and date. That's kind of a given, but, some people get a little excited, and if you're like me, you might forget the date. But so, look at your watch, pay attention to where you are. Try to estimate the distance of the object and the size, and you can do that. It's really simple. If you see an object, hold out your hand, look at your thumbnail. How does that size equate to that? Or you look at the moon and then compare it to the size of the moon. Notice where it is in the sky. So is this, down a little bit? Does it look like it's in our atmosphere? Is this something up in space? Pay attention to that. Obviously, the color of the object. Is it a solid color? Does it change? What are the edges like? Just learn to be a really good observer.
Right.
And then also, do you hear any sound? Lots of case reportings. I mean, there is no sound when we get a really good case. And so this is interesting. How does an object so massive appear and not make a sound? Also, as far as sounds, pay attention to the environment, because times, when we've got these great sightings, animals behave differently. It's almost as if it stops the sound in your environment. And so that's important to pay attention to. The movement of the object. Is the object stationary? Does the object move erratically? How does it behave? Does it just move horizontally? Is it moving horizontally and vertically? So,
and then even some cases too, Erica, where people report stuff falling off of these crafts, or a sulfur type of smell. I've heard that, or actually where it's dropping. I don't know if you want to call it debris, but it's dropping pieces and parts, and it's dropping something off of it, maybe to help propel it. I don't know.
That's true. You have to really rely on all of your senses for this type of thing. And then, obviously you want to have a little common sense. Don't move towards the light unless you're
shoot it.
Yeah, don't shoot it. But also, in your mind, it's important to really say, okay, is this Venus? Is this an airplane? Is it a helicopter? Make those rational judgment calls, and then from there, pay attention. And then the second this sighting The second you're done viewing this object, write it down. Write down as much detail as you can, and then from there, go back and look at the weather reports. See what the weather was like. Maybe go to the MUFON case files. Do a little research on your own. Find out if there are certain sightings in these areas and all of that stuff. So it can be a fun thing for you as a person, to investigate.
Research/hobby.
Exactly.
Before you go, a couple questions. I just want to get them off to you while they came in real quick. One question that our friend Sky from Cleveland writes in, she says, what are Erica's thoughts about the lights over Houston, Texas?
Oh, I think that Texas has lots of good stuff going on, and I think that they have really amazing things happening and they've got a really amazing state director and MUFON team. And so I think you stay tuned to MUFON for their thoughts on that.
A lot of stuff popping up there, huh?
A lot of stuff. But, too, they've also got that raised awareness. I think if you Sky, just stay tuned and hopefully you'll be hearing some stuff about Utah. I mean, we've got Skinwalker Ranch. We have, which everybody knows about Skinwalker Ranch. That is just crazy stuff.
We've got Dugway.
Dugway is huge. And I don't know if, people here don't realize it yet. It's funny, I can even talk to some of my friends or people in the business I'm in. They have no clue what we have 80 miles away.
Right, runways that are twice that of Groom Lake, twice the length.
The biggest runway in the world, from what I understand. Yeah. And just some crazy stuff going on. And so not only we need to look up.
We do.
We need to pay attention. I've noticed, and now we've got the NSA here, which is interesting. Yeah. And I've noticed personally, exactly. But we now have 2 helicopters that are circling the Salt Lake Valley at any given
all the time. Right.
And how many people pay attention to that? Right. I think that's pretty interesting.
No, it is interesting, very interesting. A lot of stuff, and again, like you said, you've got to look up in the sky, you've got to be observant and stuff like that. But we have Skinwalker Ranch. So many crazy things going down there at Bigelow. I know there's a couple. Ryan Burns, a mutual friend. We've had Ryan on the show a couple of times. There's another area down there now called either G2 or G4 that has private security. People that you don't want to deal with, and of course Bigelow's Skinwalker Ranch. My understanding is they've really upped the fencing around there and the gate. Now there's a double gate or something. So
they do have a double gate, and I think it's kind of, in a way, it's that whole Skinwalker phenomena has been. It's amazing, it's fascinating, but then you also have people, the looky-loos, that want to go in and that are willing, that want to take off a piece of fence post and take it home as a souvenir. And so, people, if you're out there investigating, have some respect and let's do things the right way. But Ryan is amazing. I love Ryan Burns. He's got a book out, so get that book.
He does. We'll have to get him. Back on.